welcome to The Explainer. Look, today we're diving into an absolute culinary masterclass. We're going to uncover the exact secrets and techniques from top-tier culinary minds like Michelin-starred Chef Daniel Boulud to see exactly how a classic ribeye au poivre achieves restaurant-level perfection. Let's dive right in. Here's the roadmap for today's Explainer. Anatomy of the perfect ribeye, prep like a professional, heat and searing secrets, the Michelin Au Poivre, and finally, rest, slice, and serve.
Section 1. Anatomy of the perfect ribeye. Choosing your cut. Okay, you absolutely cannot cook a world-class steak if you start with the wrong piece of meat. It just doesn't work. The ribeye is widely considered the undisputed king of steaks, right? And there's an actual physiological reason for this. It comes straight from the backstrap of the cow, which means it's a non-weight-bearing muscle. Because it's not doing the heavy lifting out in the pasture, it stays incredibly tender while packing this huge, intense, beefy flavor. But here's the real pro secret, the spinalis, or the ribeye cap. When you're eyeing a rib roast at the butcher, you always want to ask for the shoulder end ribeye. Why? Because it features this massive spinalis muscle wrapping right around the top. Trust me, this is hands down the absolute best, most premium, flavor-packed part of the entire cow.
The next thing you've got to look for is marbling. And to be clear, we are not talking about that hard band of fat on the outside edges. We are looking for intramuscular fat. Those are those beautiful, tiny white flecks completely dispersed inside the red muscle fibers. This right here is the absolute core of culinary balance. See, as the steak cooks, that internal fat literally melts from the inside out, creating a total flavor explosion while keeping the meat impossibly juicy.
So when you're choosing your cut, you really need to know what you're actually paying for. You've got your standard boneless ribeye, and then you move up to your bone-in options. Chef Boulud actually notes that keeping the bone helps keep the meat just a little more rare, right up against it, which is great. But as we move from a standard bone-in up to the thicker cowboy cut, and finally to that massive long-bone tomahawk, well, you're introducing a major pricing variable into the mix.
And that brings us to a frankly staggering data point, 30%. If you go out and buy a tomahawk steak, you are often paying a massive 30% markup compared to a standard ribeye. And you're paying that purely for the dramatic Fred Flintstone-style presentation. That markup exists because on a standard tomahawk, a full 25%, literally 1/4 of the total weight you are paying for, is just bone. And listen, that old myth that the bone itself somehow leaches deep, magical flavor into the meat, yeah, that's been thoroughly debunked. It's a culinary illusion. Now, is eating a massive chunk of meat right off a giant bone incredibly fun? Oh, absolutely. No denying that. But from a purely economic standpoint, it's a pretty massive trap.
All right, moving on to Section 2. Prep like a professional before the heats. So you've brought this gorgeous piece of meat home. Now we have to prep like a pro. The steps you take right here while before the steak ever even touches a hot pan are literally what separates standard home cooks from Michelin-starred chefs. First up, the great salting debate. Dry brining means you heavily salt the meat hours or even a full day ahead of time. This lets the salt completely penetrate the muscle fibers for true edge-to-edge seasoning. On the flip side, late salting is doing it right before cooking, which mainly flavors the crust. In a super busy restaurant setting like Chef Boulud's, they use late salting just because of sheer order volume, but they make up for it by using high-quality sea salt and a specialized 6-pepper blend. Whichever route you take in your own kitchen, the main takeaway is crystal clear. Do not be shy with that seasoning. If you're tackling a massive, thick bone-in ribeye, or a côte de boeuf, as the French say, you've got to follow these 2 crucial Michelin secrets. First, temper the meat. Just leave it out on the counter for about 20 minutes to take the chill off. If you throw a fridge-cold thick steak directly into a hot pan, the outside is going to burn long before the inside even gets warm. Secondly, tie the steak with butcher's string right around its circumference. Remember that prized spinalis cap we were just talking about? As the meat cooks and naturally shrinks, tying it ensures that beautiful cap doesn't just detach and fall apart in the pan.
Section 3. Heat and searing secrets. Building the crust. Okay, we're finally at the stove. The goal here is a perfectly even, intensely flavor-packed crust. And that means mastering the mechanics of cast iron searing and fat rendering. Here are Chef Boulud's high-end rules of engagement. First off, just leave the vegetable oil in the pantry, seriously. Instead, cook the beef in its own rendered beef fat, maybe alongside some clarified butter to get that higher smoke point. Next, keep the heat at medium-high. You don't want it dangerously blazing. You actually want to flip the steak frequently to gradually and gently even out the temperature. We are not looking for a charred, burnt exterior with a totally raw interior. We want a thin, beautiful, even crust. And this is absolutely crucial. If you use a fork to turn it, only pierce the tough edge fat. Never, ever pierce the center of the prime meat or you're going to lose all those precious juices.
I absolutely love this quote from Chef Boulud. He says, obviously the music never stops. You don't want smoke, you just want music. Isn't that a perfect sensory metaphor for the kitchen? When you're searing, you should be hearing a steady, rhythmic bubbling and sizzling from the fat. That's the music. If you've got intense, billowing black smoke filling up your kitchen and setting off alarms, your pan is way too hot and you're burning the crust. You have to listen to the pan.
As you get near the end of the cook, it is time to build some serious luxury through butter basting. You're going to add a generous knob of fresh butter, some crushed garlic, rosemary, and thyme right into the pan. Then you tilt that cast iron and constantly spoon that aggressively foaming, super aromatic butter right over the top of the steak. It's essentially frying the herbs while simultaneously enriching and flavoring the beef from all sides, right before you take it off the heat.
Section 4, the Michelin Au Poivre, a masterclass in sauce.
In traditional French cuisine, the sauce is never just an afterthought. I mean, it can literally make up to 50% of the entire dish's flavor profile. And to make a proper au poivre, whatever you do, do not use a clean pan. You use the exact same cast iron you just cooked the steak in, all because of the suck. The suck is basically the holy grail of French pan sauces. It's all those deeply caramelized, insanely flavor-packed beef juices and browned pepper bits left stuck right there to the bottom of the pan. That right there is the entire foundation of your restaurant-quality sauce.
All right, here's the rapid-fire sequence to pull this off. First, you sweat some finely chopped shallots and a teaspoon of fresh pepper right in that leftover beef fat. Next, you flambe with cognac, carefully igniting it to burn off the harsh alcohol while keeping that deep, oaky flavor. Then pour in some high-quality beef stock, let it reduce until it's a nice thick glaze, and finish it with a splash of cream. But here is Chef Boulud's brilliant, totally unconventional secret. Right at the very end, completely off the heat, stir in a touch of mustard. It adds this completely unexpected, tangy kick that cuts straight through the heavy richness of the cream and the beef. It's a total game changer.
Section 5, rest, slice, and serve. The final presentation.
We are finally at the finish line, but be careful because this phase can easily make or break all the hard work we just put in. The absolute non-negotiable rule of cooking steak is that you must let the meat rest on a cutting board. Think about it. The outside of the steak is screaming hot and the inside is cooler. Resting allows that intense heat to gently even out across the whole cut. But more importantly, it allows the muscle fibers to relax, literally locking the juices strictly inside the meat. If you get impatient and slice it immediately, all that incredible flavor is just going to spill out and flood your cutting board. Nobody wants that. When it is finally time to slice, the mechanics really matter. You must always slice firmly against the grain, meaning perpendicular to the long muscle fibers. Doing this naturally shortens the fibers, making the beef infinitely more tender to chew. If you're working with a bone-in cut, cleanly detach the main eye of the meat from the bone first. And hey, remember our prized ribeye cap? Slice that completely separately and keep it intact, so you and your guests can distinctly enjoy its unique, melt-in-your-mouth roasted texture. Now for the Michelin-style plating. You've got this rich, intensely savory steak and a creamy, peppery pan sauce. You need some balance. Serve it alongside some fresh, raw watercress. Its natural, sharp, peppery bite slices right through the heavy richness of the dish perfectly. Finally, take just a little bit of that rendered beef fat from the pan, give the sliced meat a tiny glossy drizzle, and finish it off with large, crunchy flakes of sea salt right on top. Absolute perfection. Which leaves us with one final thought. Now that you understand the anatomy of the cut, the chemistry of a perfect sear, and the Michelin star secrets behind the au poivre sauce, why go through all this effort at home instead of just paying top dollar at a high-end steakhouse? Well, because there is just an unmatched satisfaction in mastering your own kitchen. You now possess the exact techniques to conjure up world-class, undeniable luxury whenever you want. So get yourself down to the butcher, find that massive ribeye cap, and start practicing. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.